I'm Henry Dimbleby from Leon Restaurants. I founded Leon with my business partner John Vincent in 2004, hoping to create a great fast food restaurant. We always thought that there would be an opportunity for a global fast food chain that did good food, and we had this idea about fast food in heaven. What would it be like if the food was great and it was served in a wonderful environment? And we now have 13 restaurants, and we hope to have 20 by the end of next year, and things have gone very well for us through this recession. You go through a number of phases of the business. The first is setting the business up and actually working out what that business is. So we opened our first restaurant in Carnaby Street in 2004. Within 2 days, I think we had reduced the menu by about a quarter because we realised we couldn't do it. We then spent quite a few years really trying to make sure that that the food was absolutely delicious, simple enough to serve quickly, fresh, the communication was right, and that was all equity financed. You then get into a period where you're debt financed, and you have to go to the banks. You have a model that is more or less cooked, and you go through the kind of beginning of the debt finance rollout, and we're now moving on to the cash flow finance. So we're in a position where we've got enough restaurants to finance ourselves largely through the cash that they're producing. The last 3 years have been very interesting. We had 3 or 4 years when Lehman's went. There was a very noticeable 3-month dip in sales. I think people got scared. They made themselves pack lunch, came into the office, didn't spend money on lunch. Then after that, they thought, oh God, this is so hard work. When you set up a small business in terms of managing risks, inevitably there is a lot going on when you're rolling out a business, and you cannot have in place the kinds of risk management schemes that a large corporate will have. You have to rely on being able to fix things when they go broke, when they break, rather than trying to fix everything, make sure there's a solution to everything. A friend of mine once described it as, he said, it's like running across a plane of ice, and there are kind of weak spots and firm spots. And if you're an entrepreneur, some entrepreneurs will just run straight across and they'll get to the other side. Some will run straight across and they'll fall down the holes. But what you can't afford to do is try and build bridges over all the holes, because you'll never get to the other side in time. So you have to hope that when you do fall in a hole, you have the nous and the wit to be able to get yourself out. One of our biggest challenges over the recession has been working closely with our suppliers. We had a real wake-up call when a supplier for one of our biggest ingredients went bust, and we got a call on Wednesday night and then had to find the food to serve in the restaurants the next day. It would have been a disaster if we hadn't had that. 30% of our menu wouldn't have been available. And we then had to manage very closely. We kind of had the suppliers on a monthly watch. The ones we thought were small businesses where there was a risk, we were ringing them up, we were working closely with them. So that's an example where we had to bring in kind of big business risk management practices into a small business, because it was very important. Now the banks seem to be loosening up, and I don't see that particular risk as one of the most critical for the business at the moment.